We are using graphite pencil. So everyone should have a set of pencils. Feel free to grab those out along with your needed eraser. Mine, I misplaced it. It's actually in the car right now, but I don't have the car. So I will be just using this for today, but feel free to use your needed eraser. I will share the picture with everyone. So for those of you who want to take a picture of the picture.
This is so pretty.
Yeah, I think so too.
Very nice.
Can you enlarge a little bit?
Yes, I can. I can try here. Give me a moment. This one. Oh, here. That do anything?
That's the biggest?
Oh, that's too big.
No.
Oops, go zoom out.
Oh.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
That one might be too close. What do
Yeah,
you
too
think?
close. You can see some in the foreground.
We'll keep it like that for now.
Anh Lần thấy những chuyện hả? Các bạn vào cơ hệ leo phụ quả.
Thôi liền. Cindy 啊，哎呀，你同 Kelly 真係好有。
Okay, if everyone has had an opportunity to take a picture, we'll get started. Okay, for this one, it might help you to have a straight edge, like a ruler, or you can use a book or anything you have lying around. So the first thing we want to do is landmark where our objects are going to be. First, I will start with the horizon line here. So if you imagine that your paper is split into 3 sections, 1, 2, 3, the horizon line sits about the bottom 1/3 of the paper. So you can go ahead and draw a line across the page, approximately 1/3. Okay, this one is interesting because the focal point is in the center of this line. So you can find the middle of that line and approximately there you can create a dot. From this dot is where the road comes from here. So we can sketch out our road. And we can create the fork in the road. So how I'm going to do that is draw a line down the middle and fork it right about here. This one longer. Okay, from here, you can start to map out the rest of the landscape. So what I mean by that is make some very basic outlines. For example, this curved patch of grass and this one up front. I find that this mapping out the land like this makes it easier for me to place my objects because then I know where they are going. Same thing on this side. And for the bushes, you can create just the roughest outline of them. Two circles for the bushes and the tree. So do this outline quite lightly. And let's just sketch the back of the trees really lightly, just the outline. So this tree line should come to about 2/3 of your page, included with the bottom, a little less than 2/3. Okay, I think we can start to place our buildings. So if I come around half of the first bush, mine is a little large or it's a little tall, but that's okay. So just the front part of the buildings we can place. This one comes over here. Over here, there are two bushes. If you want, you can include them, but I think I will leave them out today because this area is very messy. Okay, now to add the rest of the lines for the buildings. So you can add a couple of horizontal lines like this into the distance, and they get smaller and smaller as they go. The only tricky thing here is the slant of the roof. So the slant of the roof, remember that dot we drew in the distance? Let's use that as a reference. So you can use your straight edge, line it up with that dot. And basically you just draw a line down. Honestly, this one is pretty close to the horizon line. Same with this line up here. With this roof panel, you can go straight up and meet with that one. And if you want, you can include this little thing up here. Optional. If you would like, you can add some windows and doors, but it doesn't have to be that detailed. So again, you can line your paper up with the dots so it creates the line. That can be a door. And I'm going to add a little window up here. Okay. Once this building is sketched out, you can bring your focus to this barn house right here. Same thing. So this one is like very skinny, the line. And this one's on a bit of a hill, the building itself. In the corner of the roof, there. And then we'll make a door. I made my window a little bit larger. And the little windows on the side are just an upside down V. Okay. I think we can start and fill in some of our darker areas. So our bush is here. So your bush on the bottom is very, very dark. And it has a bit of an uneven texture. So for the bottom half, you're just filling it in. Leaving some marks. And as you go up, this bush is more sparse. The shading is more sparse. So same thing for the other bush.
Junyi,
Yes.
I have a question.
What
I'm
is
just
the
wondering,
question?
when you do a bush, what is the right technique you use with your pencils so that you create that texture effect, right? Otherwise, it can be just one whole blob of shading, right?
Oh, good question. So for this bush, it's like a scratchy, almost like I'm making W's like this. Like that.
Can you show it on a separate piece of paper, but bring it up closer to the screen because it's very hard to see from here. It's quite far from this. Oops. I think she's frozen.
So this is what I'm doing.
Your
Except
screen
very,
is frozen.
right? It's very close
Okay.
together. So
so you're just doing tiny W's.
yes.
Okay.
You do these tiny W's, but they're in the direction of the bush, the way that it grows.
Mhm.
This bush is like, you can go in with a darker pencil afterwards and make these areas really dark. However, while it's easy, it's quite time consuming, the bushes and trees. Okay, I think we will move on to this house. So with this house, the darkest area is probably the windows and the doors, or the one single door. The door is more or less one value. The window here, slight variation in value, just a little bottom corner. And for this side, this window, and the top one is mostly dark as well. What you can do is leave like one space in between. And the roof here, there is a cast on the roof on both sides. And it extends up here. So you can turn your pencil on the side. Same thing with the other side. And the bottom here is quite dark. But it's not a even dark. It's like there's like bricks or something. This is a good time for you to add some lines in here if you want, however you like. For the other house, it's the same process. So we want to decide what areas are the darkest. For me, that's this little window and this door. You can add more windows and doors coming down if you want. And because it's so far away, they just appear like lines. So we can begin to fill in the rest of our building here. It's up to you to decide what you want to do with the side of the building here. When you're filling in your roof, keep in mind that the tone is lighter than the building. So let's make some contrast. With buildings, try to keep your outlines pretty crisp so you can see where everything is. Just like we did the other building, you can turn your pencil on the edge for this part. And just for fun, I'm going to add some faint line work. So all I'm doing is drawing lines down the building and across over here. for the roof. We can even give it a door. So there's a box for the door. This way, we can omit this part of the tree. You can add some little windows if you want. Like maybe here. Maybe that building will have a window right there. Okay, I think it's a good idea to tackle this tree. So this tree, we're going to simplify this. So your trunk is not completely straight. It's kind of crooked. Natural tree trunks have some grooves in them. They're not straight at all. This is too circular, I think, for my liking. So we're going to simplify this even further. Let's do this. So let's have our tree branch out into a Y. And the trunk, we can shade it in. It's quite dark. The shadow mostly runs on this side. If you feel like your tree and your house are too similar of value, I would choose to make the tree darker. Now, the easiest way, I think, to shading this tree is to sketch out the outline first. So use tiny, tiny little, like, almost like scratch marks. So what I'm doing now is kind of very sporadic scribble lines. I'm just trying to follow in the general direction of that outline I created, but once your tree outline is there, I no longer care about the circle. You can leave gaps in the tree. You can add some gaps. It's easier if you close your eyes, actually. And in certain areas, I know the photo doesn't show it, but this one look a little wonky if we color it just one big dark blob. So what we can do is add some branches and disperse them throughout. So, pick a location out of random. And what you can do is a couple of lines, just tuck them in. Like that. Do a couple of those. You can tuck it behind a leaf. Maybe that one is longer. You just want to indicate with a couple of lines that there is other branches in the tree. With the tree branches, use a very wobbly hand, like almost shake your hand while you're doing it. Okay, for the rest of the tree, this part, I will show you how to shade it in quite quickly. So instead of paying attention to each little detail, we're just going to see where this thing is weighted. What I mean by that is the shadows are weighted near the bottom because the light is coming from the top. So keep that in mind. And we're just going to shade in one direction, up and down. If you imagine that each one of these is a little clump of leaves, imagine that the shading is weighted on the bottom of all of these. So I will show you. Let's start at the bottom of the tree. I'm just going to do lines. The bottom of the tree will be probably I would say the darkest. Straight up and down. You can vary a little bit if you want. You can go back and make some of those dark areas even darker, just with lines. Once you get towards the top of the tree, when you do get there, your lines are going to be much lighter. I find that with the tree, the more random it is, probably the better it looks. So you don't want your tree to be too uniform. I believe this might be the fastest way to do a tree like this. And the fun thing is you can make this as simple or as complex as you want. So you have something like that. Okay. So we're going to move on from this tree. The rest of the trees, we're not going to detail like that because they're in the background. So following this line I drew beforehand, first thing I'm going to do is, because these trees kind of poke out at the top, I'm going to make all of this one value, not too dark, ignoring those tip tops. Just quite lightly, I turn my pencil on the side. First coat is very light. And when you finish that first coat, you can go in and just make kind of slight darker areas that show that, you know, there might be a tree there. So like right there, maybe here. Just very fuzzy outline that there might be a tree there, just the indication. This might be easier in charcoal, I think. Okay, second coat. You can keep going, or you can just leave it as is. If you keep going, you can continue to make those areas just slightly darker. one thing, how we show our audience that these are trees is that we add in those tops. Just a couple of them, so they're quite dark, I think. And they're quite sparse, so just a couple of lines near the top that indicate that, oh, you know, these are trees. Skip that one. Faint branch. All this is so you have your line, and all I'm doing is kind of scribbling these lines beside it like that. So these are the treetops. Like, for example, this one behind is a little bit darker. So you just need a couple of scratch marks to show them that, you know, there's a couple of trees behind here. These are trees, not mountains. I'm going to go ahead to switch to a darker pencil so I can make some of my shadows up front darker. Awesome. So after this one, there's just one more thing to add. It's the tree right here. I like this one a lot, so I'm going to add it. You don't even have to give this one leaves if you don't want. We're pretty much done at this point. I will be probably excluding the bushes over here, but if you want to add them at a later time, you can feel free to do that. So at this point, all there's left to do is to shade in the ground, and the process is it's quite uneventful, I would say. So with this ground, same thing as the trees. You're going to make the entire thing the same shade. Let's ignore the path. So faintly, I've added the tone over the whole ground. It's pretty even. Now I can be a bit more choosy. I can decide where I want darker shadows. Like maybe I want one over here by the houses. Maybe I want one here. Kind of a squiggly line over here to indicate that there's a hill. Okay. Maybe I want one right there. And this area right here by the tree. The ground is uneven, so you can do whatever you wish. If you want more texture, you can add a couple of like just scraggly pieces of grass here and there. There's some just a couple of grass. You can indicate there's a plant over here if you want. Do whatever you want. If you feel like you want some grass over here, then you can add it. Make this line darker by the road. And there's a bit of a dark patch right here, so what happened? Take your time. I'm just going through this quite quickly for the sake of time, but for those watching, you can always revisit it afterwards. Because you already know what to do, so you have all the time in the world. I guess these bushes have some shadows here. And some grass we can add. For the grass texture up here, I'm just going side to side. That's all. And I guess we have this path. Honestly, you can leave the path wet. But if you want, you can also add these lines down the side. Do whatever you like. Maybe I want to add some rocks here. And okay, so we are just about finished for today. if you notice, when you shade this way, it gives the indication that you have sort of a short grasp. But if you go up and down, turn the pencil on the side, it gives the indication that you have this type of long grasp. Okay, I think we are done.